Real life can be very tiring and busy sometimes. That's why I apologize. I did not have a video out last night. I've been doing a lot of thermal images, actually. I had like 1,000 I had to get done and out and edited and pushed out there, and it was insane. It was quite crazy. But thankfully, even with all of that, the news has been crazy enough that it's entertaining and able to distract somewhat from that. And part of that, a lot of that's, are we going to a nuclear arms race again? Like a modern day version of it? Welcome to the Ripple Effect. So, in funny news, JD Vance is doing the meme, and everyone was encouraging him to do it. Honestly, I saw a lot of people commenting online and tweeting and so on about him going as himself, or as the meme of himself for Halloween. And I don't know if he actually did it or just posted the picture of him dressed up as his own meme, and it was quite funny. I mean, and I appreciate administration that can handle jokes and things are funny. I guess this year Trump also put the candy on top of the kid's head again, like he did last time when the costume doesn't have a spot for him to put the candy put on top. But it's funny, you know. It's good to have funny moments in politics. But in a darker note, in a good note, I guess, Trump has asked Congress to help with sanctions and so on against Nigeria because of the whole persecutions on Christians that's been going on for quite a while over there, and the horrible things that are coming out, and the pastors that are trying to put videos up to make sure people understand or see what's going on. And he's asked Congress, and he's going to be working with Congress trying to get pressure on the Nigerian government to intervene and do stuff that they're supposed to do in their country to protect the Christians. And unfortunately, in a lot of African countries, this is the problem, that a lot of the governments themselves are just not wanting to get involved. A lot of them don't have the military sometimes, or don't have the expenditures, but they just don't want to get involved. They honestly just don't. And unless it's something that benefits them, unfortunately. And so he's trying to get involved on it, and it's good. Hopefully they can have some kind of change. Hopefully we can get some kind of change also in Korea, because the persecution of the Christians there is still going on, still ongoing. And the influx of the control from the Communist Party of China is still being pushed into South Korea, and it's not going well. It's not going well. And I don't know where that's going to end up in on the timetable of events. I don't know. What's something that's coming out with Halloween being out tonight I thought would be interesting to mention is there's already coming out a lot of people showing that the left is dressing up in crazy costumes for Halloween, like Trumps, like pretend Trumps with bullet holes in their head, actual things of Charlie Kirk, with dressing up like Charlie Kirk with the shirts and all that, and then having the blood coming out of the neck. And here's the point that was a topic of this week about the violence on the left. And when there was a hearing in Congress on this, about violence on the left, political violence on the left, the ranking member had the audacity to say that we don't really need to point fingers at which side's having the violence. It's just violence, and we just need to condemn it. Well, the problem is, and as someone so eloquently put, if you know where it's coming from, you have to point at where it's coming from to stop it. That's like saying I have a leak in my boat and I'm starting to sink. Well, we condemn all leaks. Or you could just seal the leak, right? You could find the leak and seal it. And we can see this. I mean, I don't know of a single person on the right. Could you show me a single person on the right who's dressing up like Pelosi getting shot in the head, or any of the other, people out there, Kamala, Biden, any of them? No, because where is the violence coming from? The violence is coming from the left. It is an idealistically horrible and violent side. Everything that they are, everything that embodies them is the violence. It's the antithesis to the Bible. It's the antithesis to what is right and what is good. And when you go there, it ends up being violence. I mean, you can go back into the ancient times and see this too with the children of Israel. And the children of Israel worshiping God and following God, well, when they were, because they had a bunch of falling. And then you had the people of the land who were throwing their babies onto sacrifices and burning them. It's the antithesis of what is good. And dressing up and thinking it's funny to dress up this way shows where the mindset of the left is. It shows you what they truly believe. Don't listen to what some politicians look up there and say, oh, we oppose this. We always objected against this. But the problem is your policies are what are leading to helping this. Your being on their side and supporting them leads to this. And this is the point that goes back to what I said before about the right calling out the right for when they're doing wrong. If we don't do it, we allow that to creep into our party and we become part and parcel with that, with the crazy nutcases like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. And I'm probably going to do a special on that at some point here. I want to do it on Candace Owens because she's gotten ballistically nuts, mind-bogglingly nuts. And people are falling for her crap over and over again. And you're saying, well, what is going on here? Why do people fall for this garbage? You should be able to see through it. If you have reason, you should be able to see through her garbage. I would expect easily. But that's not the case. And speaking about just nut stuff on the left, did you hear about the Border Patrol chief that was having to report to a judge daily in their chambers or at the courthouse because that judge didn't like what the Border Patrol was doing in Chicago? A judge, right? They're supposed to give judgments, but because she didn't like what the Border Patrol guy was doing, Bovino, I think, he had to report daily to a judge. Separation of powers, anyone? If you think he's doing something wrong, you're a judge. You put out a warrant or whatever you have to do, or try to do whatever's in your powers. But to be telling someone that is on the executive branch that they have to show up daily, hindering their work in a wild capacity, it just blows your mind. Now, thankfully, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals has rejected this premise and canceled that order and said, no, you're not doing this. That's garbage. That's stupid. No. But all these judges that are not even just legislating from the bench anymore, now they're trying to control and do executive functions from the bench. We've lost our mind as a country when even judges are activists instead of judges. Again, I go back to the point, where are we going to get our justice from if our judges even are not anti-partisan? I'm not even talking about just being anti-partisan. Just think thoughtful. Think through what you're doing. Is it within your purview? No. Now, an interesting story to kind of end on, and I think this is a perfect summary of the mindset of the left. And it's a very perfect summary, and I'm actually going to have a shortish video today, which is great. I can never keep them short. But Harrison Ford had the audacity to come out, and I only say this because, people in Hollywood like to poke their fingers and noses into politics in places that they shouldn't be going. And it's mind-boggling because you would say, hey, look, I like you in videos. I like the work you do. Okay? I was never a big Harrison Ford fan, but I'm just saying, I like people that are in Hollywood. They do a good job at what they do sometimes, and you would just like to be able to sit down and watch the movie and just enjoy the movie as it is. But they don't do that anymore. Now they want to tell you how your politics should be and control your life. And what right to do that, I have no idea. But because they're a celebrity and they're famous and they think that they, have a platform, and they do, they want to say all kinds of crazy things. So here's what Harrison Ford said. He said that Trump is the greatest criminal of all history. Let that sink in. Trump, who is enforcing the laws put in by other people, is the worst criminal in all of history. Okay, you're proving a point here. You're proving a point here that you're nuts when you're saying that this guy is worse than Hitler. What are you saying? How could you not be inciting violence when you say someone is worse than Hitler? The whole joke is, would you go and kill Hitler as a baby if you knew that he would turn into what he was going to turn into, right? And the game is played back and forth and arguments for both sides. But here's my point. So here's a guy who's worse than Hitler for just following the rules of the land. How about Stalin? He's worse than Stalin? He's worse than Mao? People that have killed millions of people. Killed millions of people. And Trump's worse? He's the worst criminal in all of history? Do we need to go back in further past in history and time? To emperors, kings, and so on that have done horrible, horrible, horrible things? But Trump, the guy who left office the first time around because he didn't win the election, allegedly, who did peaceful politics until he got back in office, and then didn't just go around throwing in jail everyone who opposed him, like was threatened for him for 4 years by the Biden administration when they tried to constantly throw him in jail. But yes, that guy, sorry, I know it's a little loud, that guy's the worst criminal of entire history. That makes total sense, guys. Tell me you're nuts while telling me that you're nuts. And this is what you see. How can they think this way? Because they lose their moral footing. And guys, listen up. Please, please, please. When you take away from God and you pull yourself away from God, you've pulled away from your moral footing. And when you have no moral footing, then everything that you believe is based off of what you think is right and wrong. And when we go to what you think is right and wrong, then you can make atrociously stupid statements like Trump is the worst criminal in all of history. Because you're saying that your values of today are so important that who cares about the 6 million Jews, at least, that Hitler killed? Who cared about the millions of Russians that Stalin killed? Who cared about the millions of Chinese that Mao killed? Who cares? That doesn't matter compared to the atrocious crimes of Trump. Stack it up. Him saying that he's the worst criminal in all of history. All the people dressing up like Charlie Kirk being shot or Trump being shot or other forms of death to conservatives as their Halloween thing. Judges telling officials from the Trump administration that they have to bend to come kiss my ring, bow before me every day. You can tell where the violence comes from. Do you want a country that's nuts or do you want a country that's normal? It's easy to decide. And this weekend, we're going into the final few days, and coming up on Tuesday is the final day for Prop 50 in California. If you want to see the Democrats have more control, these people who condone the violence and want more of this garbage in our society, if you want them to have more power in our country, vote yes on Prop 50. But if you don't want that garbage, then vote no. And let the last few Republican representatives that we have in California stay. It's changing nothing, guys. If you vote no on Prop 50, all you're doing is keeping it as things are, okay? We're not even gaining a win here. We're just preventing them from gaining a win. Let's bring some common sense back into our lives. Let's get back into our Bibles and study. Let's make sure we're sharing the reasons why we believe the things that we believe because of God to those that are around us. And this dark day of Halloween is a great time to reach out. We're going to be going into the time of Christmas, Thanksgiving coming up. Reach out. Find someone to reach. Please do so. Like, comment, and subscribe. And comment anything, please. It helps me tremendously. And I really do appreciate, guys. You have been an outstanding audience. You guys have been an outstanding group of people listening. And the comments have been fantastic. And I so much appreciate that. Thank you guys for hanging in there. And again, reminder, I only do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I apologize again for not having one last night. Thank you so much for watching.